Hey everybody, it's Andy Kushner with The Wedding Biz. Welcome to another incredible episode of The Next Level, and I want to introduce you to my fabulous co-host. If you have not heard her, if this is your first time, or if you've been back week after week, here is Melissa Fancy.
Hello, everyone.
Melissa, I thought you said you were sick. Your voice sounds perfect. You said you sounded like a smoker when you first picked up the phone.
Well,
you're fine.
it does go in and out.
So are you saying that may happen during today's episode?
Yes. You know what? I just returned from Engage Ireland and I spent some extra days there with some traveling buddies, and it was the time of our life. But a few of us did come away with the flu, so we're recovering.
I heard about that. A lot of people did. I am so envious. I was so slammed with events for Kushner Entertainment. I would have loved to have gone, but there was no way. But I'm definitely going to go to Engage in December in Cobblestone Lucas. Both of us, Melissa and I, are going to be there. You're going to start getting some reminders in the mail with interviews of people who are going to be speaking. Those of you who are going, if you haven't heard them yet, we're going to let you know who is going to be speaking, who's already been interviewed. So watch for those in the next week or two. And we're going to get back to you with all kinds of fun and plans that we have for Engage, right? Especially through Instagram. Melissa, I know you're on top of all the social media for us.
Absolutely, you guys. We have been chatting up online on our Instagram. And as we get ready to pack our bags, we'll be even more active there. And make sure you're following.
Melissa, while you were gone, I was looking at geographically where our listeners are from, and we've got people all over the world. We've got a ton in Canada and Australia, also the UK, China. Don't want to leave anyone out, but I just want to thank all of you around the world who are listening to the show and supporting us. It means so much to us that you are doing that, so thank you so much. And please share it with your friends all over the world. It really means a ton to us to keep growing our community. So anyway, today's guest this morning, who we released, is Paula LeDuc of Paula LeDuc Fine Catering and Events, an icon, absolute icon out of San Francisco. What an amazing story. She has built one of the most successful fine catering and event companies in the States. She started with catering in 1980 and evolved into a full design service company with a team of over 75 total full-time people comprised of chefs and bartenders, service staff, designers, account executives, event managers, executive leaders, and more. Plus, when I was there talking to Paula when we ended, I was asking what was going on with their weekend coming up. And she said, we have I think she said 550 contractors the next weekend. And that's a typical weekend for Paula. So really great story. Again, operates out of San Francisco, works all over the world. Dignitaries, politicians, celebrities, media moguls like Oprah, some of the really well-known technology companies. They did the Screen Actors Guild Awards out of Los Angeles, major film premieres, of course, tons of luxe weddings. They even are growing a venue management service. I don't know how Paula has put this together. Well, actually, I do because of the interview. And if any of you missed it, I know I say this week after week on The Next Level, but it's because there's so much more to get out of just listening to the actual interview. So I urge you to go do that. She even talked about a celebrity couple who hired the Lord of the Rings costume designer to design outfits for the guests. I mean, wow, does she have some great stories. I loved how she talked about how she is in the relationship business first. And so she looks at catering and doing events as really kind of on the side as far as her priorities in her mind and her perspective. And she talks a lot about how does it manifest to her that she's in the relationship business. And one of the things that she talked about was, first of all, within her own company, how she treats her own people, how she hires them, that she hires people who love what they're doing. That's really important to her, even the contractors that she uses. And she creates these wonderful partnerships outside of her company to collaborate with.
There's a lot there, but I think to your first point about her quote, relationship first and catering and events are on the side. I love that so much because that is like a personal mantra for me. I don't go into any experience, really thinking, oh, how am I going to make money here? Or how am I going to do my work or service here with this person or collaborate with them? I always look at it like, how can I connect with them? How can I get on their level? And I really value that piece from her because sometimes it feels like I'm the only one that thinks that way. And And having her say that was really valuable to me. And I think that what we need to remember, especially in this age of everybody being so, insta perfect, is how much those relationships can actually take us so far. And when you look at, her long list of accomplishments, I really would say that it was really relationship based. And that's something we should all bring back to our businesses and really refocus the goal and our target and really set our customers and our clients and their experiences at the top of our list.
I just want to take a moment and say, wouldn't we all like to have more exposure in our markets? I mean, certainly our own handling of social media and various other tools are ways that we do gain more presence. Though, what if you could have professional outside help that you could depend on to really get you the results that you need? And I know we all are happy to get much more presence. Well, I want to tell you about our sponsor of today, OFD Consulting. They are an award-winning publicity agency that focuses on the wedding industry, and their client portfolio ranges from top-tier planners and venues to well-regarded national brands and industry thought leaders. And OFD Consulting has placed clients in a slew of popular online and offline publications, including the New York Times, Martha Stewart Weddings, Style Me Pretty, many others. And they also have a service that's dedicated entirely to B2B press for those looking to elevate their brand reputation among peers through online mentions, guest articles, podcasts, and speaking engagements. So if you are a small business and you want to get your name out there, get more exposure for your brand, get your message out there, and you want to just dip your toes in the PR waters, check out the OFD Collective, which is a 3-star membership with robust educational and coaching opportunities, along with ongoing press leads. So definitely check out ofdconsulting.com. Again, that's ofdconsulting.com. What is really at the bottom, what is the foundation of these relationships is it's based on emotional connection with people. And she carried that over in terms of the events that she designs and this wonderful, wonderful fine catering that she does is that, with the food as well, it's all about emotion. It's all about creating theater, which is also a few months ago interviewing Preston Bailey. That thought when I hear theater always comes up because he had such a great story about how he learned that from Joan Rivers, who was one of his clients. And so, Paula talked a lot about how what is really behind all of this is the emotion and connecting with people and creating theater through it. And she also talked about with her clients, as far as the relationships, that the more that she and her staff and company really gets to connect and have a personal relationship and know the couple or the social client or the corporate client, it really leads to the more that they can do for them in the end.
Oh, absolutely. Because they trust her. They have now, built a bridge and a connection that is so strong that they just trust her to do her job. They're not going to micromanage her. They're not going to, tell her how to make a sandwich. They're going to let her create her art and they're going to completely let go. And that is the best way for her to give them that experience is if they really just let her do her thing. And that has to be established through that friendship first.
Yeah, and that definitely does build trust. I agree with that.
I don't know if you drew this conclusion, but she talks about how she trains her employees down to the way they carry themselves, down to their physical body movements. And I'll tell you, everything that she said during that portion of the interview, it was branding. It is not just what colors people see her company by with her logo. It is how they speak at an event. It is how they walk and how they move. And all of that has been thought through to the nth degree. And I think that's so much of where her success lies because people know that when they get a Paula LeDuc event, it's going to be beyond perfect in every way. And it's excellent, excellent branding.
And I know what you're referring specifically when you're talking about even how people walk, in the context of her being in fine catering as well as designing the events, she was, referring literally to the employees, the servers. And she said that literally they have a training course and a policy and a method and a guideline as training every single employee to the style of the company, and I like how, how you were relating it to branding, but that there is this style, which we all really need to think about. I think we all have a good understanding of branding and message, but to even translate it to style in this particular sense. And she talked about, again, one of the ways that manifests, especially with fine catering, is the way that even the service is to be done. And she talked about how they have all these different ways of presenting service. For example, if it's a sit down or it's a buffet, obviously those are different, and they have completely different ways of doing each, and details that like shoulders back, head held high, and I liked this, even how you hold your hands when you're walking, and how you hold your hands when you're not doing anything and you're waiting, and how when you're not serving, how are you holding yourself, and literally how do you mix a drink. And she kind of went on. And so in the end, what they're doing is cultivating their own standards of excellence. And one thing that was related to this, which I also caught, was the whole idea of mentorship within the company, and how, obviously at all of our companies, this I'm sure is already happening to some degree organically, but they make it a policy. Paula likes to really encourage their senior people to work with the newer people and think of themselves as mentor and mentoring them. And she talks about how her whole staff are extensions of their organization. And so, having these really high standards is obviously real important to her.
Well, and I think that we should all, take some clear advice from the way that she has not just branded herself and her employees and their movement and all of this stuff and her lovely, mentorship that's intrinsic in her business, but she has broken it all down so deeply and has a path for every single person that walks through that door. It is incredible to me. And as far as I can see from the way that she discussed it, every person has an opportunity to take their own position and their own skill as far as they want within her company. And I think that there's a lot of freedom there, but there's a lot of, expected growth that comes with that we all can give to our employees, even if we're just small businesses. I know she's a big one, but that's some excellent advice that we can really take there. I mean, she fosters an environment that her employees are holding each other accountable. And I think that has empowered them. And we should all be doing that for our own businesses.
Yes, and she talks about, even translating that into collaboration, that she's really thinking directly of building a team of people who work so well together in a collaborative way. And I think setting that standard ahead of time, especially even when you're interviewing somebody, to talk about these aspects, that this is really important to you. And you can start to get a vibe from the person, whether or not they're going to fit that. She talked about too how the challenge for all of us as entrepreneurs in growing a company from nothing, it is so critical to hire the right people, the good people who see your vision. She talked about that too, and have your values. And she talked about having missteps, and I've had this too, certainly, of hiring the wrong people and maybe not doing the right due diligence. And I know that it's scary when you start to see if there's someone in your company who it just doesn't look like it's going to work out. It's hard to break that tie. It gets very scary. Are you going to fall behind and all of that? But in the end, and what she's talking about is building this team who really care about each other, mentor each other, collaborate with each other, and how that helped her build in such a wonderful, wonderful way. And so, before we wrap up, I also want to mention that if you all missed last week's interview, I forgot to say that during the introduction here, it was Kelly McCleskey-Delata and Nancy Lu Chen. Kelly has a company, a Savvy Event, very successful out of San Francisco. Nancy has a design company also out of San Francisco. They talked a great deal about collaboration. And one of the main reasons I wanted to interview them together was that what we're talking about here with Paula, that's what made me think of this, is this collaborative attitude. Also, even sometimes with competitors. Kelly talked about that. And so Nancy and Kelly, they're not necessarily competitors, actually work together a lot. They developed this partnership and created this wonderful conference called Oh So Inspired. So if you want to hear more about what we're talking about here, I recommend you go back to last week and check that out. So really appreciate you all listening to today's conversation on The Next Level about Paula LeDuc. And Melissa, what do you got for them? What else do you have to share?
I just want to remind everybody that we love reviews. We've been getting some great ones, and I want to keep sharing with you the reviews that we've been getting. We need them so much. It helps people find us. I got some great feedback from our friends at Engage Ireland. I can't wait to see everybody at Engage Cabo. Please be sure that you're following us on our Instagram, which is at Wedding Biz Show. And if you head to our website at theweddingbiz.com, you can sign up for our mailing list and get all of our Engage pre-emailers there. There's a little sign-up pop-up box as well as a field on the right-hand side of the site. I would love to send you out all of our interview lists and anything else fun we've got going on.
Before I announce who next week's guest is going to be, which is very exciting, want to also remind everybody about the network we have on the Wedding Biz Network. Our first host is Julie Sabatino of The Stylish Bride. And Melissa, didn't you spend a lot of time with her? She went to Ireland, didn't she?
She did. Yeah, I adore her. We had so much fun at Bridal Market, and then she was my roommate for Engage Ireland, and we just had the best time. You guys, she is a wealth of knowledge for both brides and all of the rest of the wedding industry.
So let me tell you about next week's guest, and that is going to be Robert Fountain, out of San Francisco, but works all over the world. And Robert, to some degree, is under the radar. He is, although most of his clients are very high-profile Silicon Valley CEOs and tech founders, as well as the international social set. He is the first event designer to produce the San Francisco Ballet, the San Francisco Opera, and the Symphony Galas all in the same year, which is a very, very big deal. And this conversation with Robert, as a designer and planner, but mostly a designer, is so different. I really want to urge all of you to check in next week about Robert Fountain. He loves creating experiential events all over the world, and that's what he's mostly known for. So thank you everyone again for listening to another episode of The Next Level. We look forward to catching you next week on The Wedding Biz.